Welcome to the Daily Devo. My name is Diana. Today we are talking about the promise of Christmas. Countdown to Christmas. In this Devo series, we are going to walk through the story of Christmas in the Bible. So let's look back at Isaiah. We're going way back into the Old Testament. Well, at this point in history, the people of God, they have rebelled against God. They've turned their back on Him. And rather than walking with God, worshiping God, following God's ways, the people are consistently choosing what is other, what is disobedient, time and time again. It was a low point in history for the people of God, and consequences were rightly coming. Yet, even during that moment, the promise of the coming Savior was spoken. Listen to it. In Isaiah chapter 9, starting in verse 2, it says, "The people who walk in darkness will see a great light. For those who live in the land of deep darkness, a light will shine." The promise of coming light that is breaking into the darkness, it was spoken even in the midst of their disobedience. Now, listen to verse 6. Here's what it says. It says, "For unto us a child is born. A son is given to us. The government will rest on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." Don't miss the wonder of the Christmas story, that even in the midst of the rebellion of the darkest days, there, the promise of a coming Savior of Jesus, it remained. And all throughout the Bible, God is always pointing towards the coming Savior, Jesus. Isaiah 6:9, it's the promise that one day, this child will be born and given to God's people. Remember, this was promised hundreds and hundreds of years before the promise came about. And in times of deep, deep darkness, there was a promise that the light will dawn and a child will be born. The wonder of Christmas is that while we were still far from God, God moved towards us, making a way. So today, take heart that hundreds of years before the birth of Jesus, the promise of his coming was spoken. And this promise was spoken in the times of great rebellion and darkness, yet God persisted. This is the point. God persisted in his love, in his justice, and in his mercy. That God reminded his people, even when they were the furthest, of a time ahead when the Savior would break through the darkness, bringing light and making a way for them to follow him. "For unto us a child is born. For unto us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. And Jesus, he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." The promise of Christmas was on the way.